On May 28, 1980, in Anaheim, California, after driving two co-workers to the hospital, Dorothy Jane Scott, a 32-year-old mother of one, had vanished. As they were all waiting for the prescriptions to be filled, Dorothy decided to go and get the car and bring it to the entrance of the hospital. As the two co-workers were walking out to get into the car, it quickly sped away. It was dark. The headlights were blinding. They couldn't tell who was driving. They reported her missing a few hours later. A few months before her disappearance, Dorothy received disturbing phone calls from an anonymous stalker. One phone call left her terrified. The man had said, "1 month after this terrifying phone call, a man called the Orange County Register newspaper and told them he had killed Dorothy. They had just got done publishing the story on Dorothy's disappearance. The Orange County Register was not the only one getting phone calls from the killer. Dorothy's mother also received calls from the same man claiming to have killed Dorothy. This went on for 4 years. Unfortunately, these calls could not be traced because the killer never stayed on the phone long enough. Dorothy Jane Scott was a single mother of a 4-year-old son living in Stanton, California. She worked as a secretary at a head shop that sold lava lamps, and a devout Christian. She never drank or used drugs or even had a steady boyfriend. She was a bit of a loner. During the months Dorothy was receiving the calls from the stalker, she told her mother that she recognized the man's voice but could not remember his name. The man once told her that he was in love with her, but then he threatened to kill her. He told her he had been watching her. He gave her details of what she had done in the past few days for proof. Once, he called her and told her to go outside because he had something for her. It was a dead rose on the windshield of her car. The most terrifying phone call was the one about chopping her up into bits. It was after that Dorothy considered buying a handgun. She also started taking karate lessons 1 week before she went missing. On the night of Scott's disappearance, her co-workers assumed she must have had an emergency with her son. That's why she sped away and left them at the hospital. 5 hours later, they found her car. Her 1973 station wagon was 11 miles from the hospital in an alley. It was also on fire. She and her abductor were nowhere to be found. On August 6, in 1984, a construction worker stumbled upon human bones about 30 feet from Santa Ana Canyon Road. The bones were partly charred from a recent brush fire in that area. They were, however, able to determine through dental records that it was, in fact, Dorothy Jane Scott. But they could not determine the cause of death. Authorities also concluded that the bones had only been in that particular area for about 2 years. 1 week after Dorothy's disappearance, her mother received phone calls religiously every Wednesday afternoon from the killer. They were always too short to trace. Then one time, in April of 1984, he called in the evening. Dorothy's dad finally was home to answer it. And then, the calls stopped. At least until Dorothy's remains were found. In the middle of a long 4 years, on June 12th, in 1980, he made another phone call. This time to the Orange County Register. The editor had told police that the man said that he had killed Dorothy Scott because she was his love. and he caught her cheating. He also told the editor several details that were never made public. Details such as she was wearing a red scarf, and the reason she was at the hospital in the first place. Her co-worker had suffered a black widow spider bite. Both statements have been proven to be true. The caller did, however, claim that Scott called him from the hospital. Her co-worker denied the claim because she said that Dorothy did not leave her side, and she did not make any phone calls. Because of these statements to the editor, authorities believe that the caller is no doubt the man who took Dorothy Scott's life. Unfortunately, that's all they have. This case, to this day, remains unsolved.